icon Dee Snider is coming to Chicagoland. Of course, you know him as the lead singer of Twisted Sister, but he's also an author. He's going to be coming here for meet and greet and a book signing. Dee, thank you so much for your time today.
Glad to be here. Well, I don't know if you know, but people should know that I love Chicago by this point. Spent a bunch of time there doing Rock and Roll Christmas Tale and really got to know the city. And so I'm really happy to be coming back. Got a lot of friends there.
Yeah, I was just about to say that. 2014 was the last time that we got a chance to chat when you were here for the holidays.
Oh my God, was that 10 years ago already? Ay, ay, ay.
I've aged. You haven't.
Yeah, exactly. Behind these eyes are just two holes. Behind his sunglasses, two holes. So I'm hiding it.
Let's give everybody the details. March 10th on Sunday, you're going to come here. You're going to be signing copies of the book at Loud Pizza Records, which is located in Highland Park. They suggest pre-ordering the books. You can go ahead and do that on the website. They will have some on site, but you don't want to wait till the last minute and miss your chance to meet Dee. So go ahead and pre-order those books there.
Yeah, they do have a limited amount of books, and it is about a book signing while you're allowed to bring other items, a couple other items to be signed. If you don't have a book, you can't get online, and they do limit the amount of books. They only send, I don't know, 150, something like that, books. So once they're gone, that's it.
That is it. Let's talk a little bit about the story of Frats, because this is not college Frats. This is something in 1970s high school.
Yeah. It's a world that I grew up in, and the high school fraternity system. And more than likely, you listeners are going, what's a high school fraternity? Exactly. That's the point. I, though, growing up, just thought this was normal. They were like gangs in my town, and you just grew up like saying, okay, don't go down that street and stay away from those guys and avoid those guys. And because they were fraternities, they had charters with the police. And they were given an air of legitimacy by the school because it wasn't, a gang called the Knuckle Busters or or the Kingsmen or the Rowdies. It was, Delta Gamma Rho and, Alpha Sigma Phi. And, they have beautiful, varsity jackets. They had these beautiful jackets. They really were great, and they were two-tone and, they were allowed to walk around high school wearing their colors. And they sort of ruled the hallways. I thought it was normal, and until I started traveling the world, and when conversations about high school would come up, and if I ever mentioned, oh yeah, those fraternities were a nightmare, people go, what fraternities? You go, the high school fraternities, and they go, what's that? I found out that it was literally 5 towns on a small section of Long Island. Long Island's 100 miles long, 20 miles deep, but just these 5 little towns had this microcosm of high school fraternities who were gangs and very violent. And there was a story to be told. And so when I wrote about the whole story, the characters are fictionalized, but the events that happened is all based on actual events, and it was pretty powerfully disturbing.
I want to talk a little bit about the guys in high school, because obviously this is a fictionalized story of what happened. But those guys in high school, did they come to Twisted Sister concerts? Did they run into your family? Like, what was it like kind of after that high school experience with you running into them?
That's really interesting because I was not a popular guy. I was a big weirdo and who spent my time trying not to get my butt kicked. And if you read the book, and you read, people think that, oh, you must be Bobby Kovacs, the hero of the story. I said, no, I'm one of the Bretts. The Bretts are the dorky guys who sit at their lunch table. They're comic book and rock and roll fans, and they're sort of just outcast. And I was one of those people. It was weird though. Once I achieved fame and fortune, everybody knew me. Everybody was my friend. When they went back, People Magazine, anytime they talked to people, oh yeah, we were like everybody was in my class. Boy, if only I was that popular in high school, it would have been a very different experience than being a total outcast in high school. I had a taste of it though, and this is the one people say, "Are you in the book?" Well, they say write what you know. So I really knew this world of high school fraternities. So there's that, and it's set in my hometown. So I like the realism of really getting into detail that it's like people can visualize because I knew those streets like the back of my hand. I also knew what it was like to run from the fraternities. There's a couple of scenes there about that. But there's one moment, an Easter egg, where it's the prom and the band playing the prom. They say is this band called Dusk, and they're like the most popular band in high school. And guy and Bobby goes, and I think the singer went on to become pretty famous. And I was in the band Dusk, and we were that band in high school, which is my first taste of suddenly people like being interested in me is when I was playing with Dusk, these same frat guys that would make my life miserable. Hey, dude, can you play Freebird? I mean, they wanted to, they were suddenly like dancing to my music. I said, oh wow, the whole dynamics changed here. So yeah, so there's that. But the post high school thing is very interesting to find that people remember the past the way they want to remember it. And they don't remember me just being an outcast. They remember me being everybody's friend.
Being the character of Bobby, tell a little bit about the inspiration and having him kind of, not kind of growing up in the system, but also being, brand new to the school.
Well, that was the thing. Here I said at the beginning that I grew up in this town. So I grew up knowing this is the minefield. And every town's got its, bullies and problems, some worse than others. But I said, what would it be like if you could, when I started talking to people who said they never experienced anything like that, I said, wow, what would it have been like to move to this town in like your senior year of high school? A very plausible story. Dad gets a job transfer, you're uprooted suddenly, as Bobby says, there's no conference or meeting. You're just told we're moving and that's it. And he gets dropped in this world. And all he wants to do is just finish his senior year of high school and go to college. There's this world of fraternities. And the first day of school, not knowing it's a minefield, he steps on a mine. And just in a gesture trying to help some kid out, one of the Bretts who's being picked on by one of these bullies, Bobby steps in and not knowing really, he crosses the worst guy he could possibly ever cross. And his life goes into a terrible downward spiral. Terrible. I mean, you're reading it and you're just going, oh my God, how could it possibly? Oh my God, it is worse. It just gets worse and worse and worse. Just people tell you by the end, there's a silver lining by the end of the book, but it's a rough ride watching this guy who's a really decent guy. I mean, he just saw somebody being picked on. It's valiant, it's gallant, I should say, to, just want to help somebody out and winds up ruining his life. But again, as an observation, life is like that. There can be moments that are turning points in our life for better or for worse. Though, and we think about our lives, go, wow, if that had gone differently, this may never have happened for me, So it really was an exploration on a what if scenario.
I mean, because you think about, people getting bullied and people having a tough time in high school. And sometimes you look for a book or you look for an artist that you connect with, and that is kind of your saving grace.
In general, I mean, this is sort of right in line with my brand, so to speak. The freedom fighter, the guy who speaks up, who pushes back. After being pushed around, it makes you either get weaker or you get stronger. And in my case, I got stronger and stronger, and both mentally and physically, to be able to say, you know what, I'm not going to take it. I'm not going to take it, and I'm gonna, stand up and speak out. So I don't have, my followers aren't from that, like all the popular kids follow me or all the hot chicks. It's real people, average people who deal with a lot of, life can be really tough. I think life's amazing, but at the same time, we go through a lot. And to have somebody who's not afraid to speak out or speak up in a situation, I hope I'm that guy. And I know just from talking to people, when they tell me how much songs I've written or things I've done have lifted them up in their times of trouble. Well, it makes me feel amazingly good because I very deliberately wasn't singing about sex, drugs, rock. I was singing about rock and roll. I want to rock, but sex and drugs, the standard, typical stuff. I was always about believing in yourself, fighting for what you believe in, standing up for yourself, being who you are, being proud of who you are. Those are the messages I was sending, and it's nice to know that people, like, as just were hearing them, and they thank me for speaking and giving them that song, giving them that voice they needed.
I mean, it's so crazy that it's going to be the 40th anniversary of We're Not Going to Take It coming up here in just in a couple of months. And I remember hearing it for the very first time in 1984, and it still resonates with me the same way it did when I was a kid, hearing the music and hearing that song now.
The song itself has transcended. We're not going to take it. The genre, it's transcended the band, it's transcended the era, and it's become really a folk song. Folk songs are passed from person to person, and all over the world, it's become that's go-to song wherever you stand in this world, whether it's politically or personally or whatever. All sides, all groups will use that as their battle cry, which is by design. I specifically, there was a review in the Village Voice, very smugly reviewed Twisted Sister, We're Not Going to Take It. 3 words, what, from whom? And then they left a big blank. And then they went to the next interview, like snubbing. And I'm screaming at the paper, that's the point. It wasn't supposed to be, I'm not taking it from my father. That's very specific. Maybe it's a girlfriend, maybe it's a teacher, maybe it's a boss, maybe it's a politician, maybe it's, maybe it's a movement, all right, whatever. I very specifically left it wide open, which is tough for me because sometimes there are groups that use that song and they are so far off the mark. I wrote a song. I thought it would be like, well, maybe it'll be about your boss or your girlfriend or like the things that I was thinking of when I wrote it. My parents, I never thought it would now become a political battle cry for people. I mean, even go one step further. Have you heard the version with just piano and vocal?
I have not, no.
But I did with Chris Angel. We did a video for children's cancer.
Okay.
Just slowed down, sang, not screaming, with a piano and a vocal. And his son, Chris's son, had cancer. He's in remission, thank God. And people said they cry when they and the video is very powerful that Chris did with shots of his own child getting treatments and things, and just so tough. I'm getting chills right now. But I never imagined the song would speak for that cause. But that's I'm very proud of the song though.
I mean, especially too, you just mentioned so many people connect with it on so many different levels. So no matter what you're going through professionally, personally, or just in life in general, that song connects with you in so many different ways. But when did you realize that it took a life of its own? Because obviously, this was a time before social media. So, you might have had a union or you might have had a certain, group having it, but you maybe didn't kind of get that same message immediately like you do now with things that are posted online.
It may have been it may have been when I sang when Arnold Schwarzenegger was running for governor. And Arnold asked if he could use We're Not Going to Take It as his campaign song. And I was like, dude, you inspired me to write that song. And he was like, what are you talking about? I said, you had a book called Arnold, the making of a bodybuilder. And it was like a motivational. I wasn't a bodybuilder. I was just a scrawny rock and roll guy. My brother was a bodybuilder. He says, Dee, I really think you're going to like this book. It's really motivating. And I read it, and his whole philosophy inspired me. And I wrote the Stay Hungry album with We're Not Going to Take It. The album called Stay Hungry. That was Arnold's catchphrase, stay hungry. Always, no matter how successful you become, you got to stay hungry. So he inspired. The album is dedicated to Arnold Schwarzenegger. Okay. So I wound up going to the last rally at Sacramento town, state capital, whatever. And I was out there singing to this sea of Republicans, and they're all singing along. And they don't know all the verses, but they know the chorus. And I'm going, holy crap! This song has transcended my original vision, and my original vision was kind of what you saw in the video. The kid, whose father is yelling at him, and he blows his dad out the window. That's really what I was singing about. But hey, it's transcended all that, and then teacher strikes and women's rights, and and QAnon, all using the song. I mean, it's just incredible. And sporting events.
Yeah, exactly. All those things. I had read a couple of different spots, but I'm not sure if it's going to happen or not. As far as Twisted Sister possibly reuniting this year, as we enter the election, that we might see a performance or two.
That I think I did say something like that. I think I did say that I'll be out, campaigning and singing. Since the band members are all on the same page politically and what we stand for, and one of the big ones being, well, it's all about personal freedom, and one of the big ones being women's rights. I mean, to me, it doesn't. We're not talking about, the conversation is about how old this guy is and how crazy that one is, and his dog bit 24 secrets. It's about the primary issues of personal freedom and what they've done to women's rights. I mean, that just can't go unanswered, because that's only the tip of the iceberg, people. Just look at what Clarence Thomas has said in writing. Supreme Court Justice said we got to take another look at gay marriage. We got to take another look. He wants to re-examine all the forward motion we've made.
Yeah.
He has been, and Hillary Clinton and him went to law school together. And she says he's been talking about this since back then. He said to her straight out, this is something you just got to keep chipping away at till you get what you want. And sure enough, who would have thought that my granddaughter, who's 14, would have less rights, personal freedom, than her grandmother had? It's very sad state of affairs. So, when it comes to women's rights, when it comes to gay rights, when it comes to civil rights, it comes to freedom, personal freedom. You might see, Twisted Sister get together to sing a song or two to inspire people to get out there and have their voices be heard.
Yeah, I mean, it's so important, especially to have allies for the LGBTQ plus community, for women, for civil rights, because the more that we speak up and are more vocal, especially the younger generation understands the importance of voting, and not thinking that it's an adult issue, or for their parents that they get involved too, because this is affecting them so much.
Yeah, when I hear someone say, I don't like the candidates, it's not about the candidates. It's about what they represent philosophically, and and who you want in power that represents your point of view best. And a long time ago, someone said to me, "It's not presidents; it's Supreme Court justices. That's what you got to watch out for." And look what happened. You can say, "Oh, Biden will be gone. He'll be dead soon." Trump, he lasted 4 years. Yeah, but in that 4 years, he changed the balance of the Supreme Court for the next 20 years. They don't got any really decrepit people in there anymore. They're old, but they're not that old. They're going to be around, hanging on to their phony baloney jobs. So this is, so younger people need to be reminded, it's not a popularity contest. It's not social media. It's not Facebook. It's the real world. It's life. And you got to support. That's why there's people out there who have supported Trump, who, like the evangelicals, I know they don't agree with his personal lifestyle. He has a history of philandering and all those things, but he was going to help them achieve what they wanted to achieve. That was Roe v. Wade done with. That was their mission. So they overlooked a lot of things in their candidate in order for the big picture. It works for the other side as well, people. It's about the big picture.
It is about the picture. Dee, thank you so much for your time today. I could talk to you for 3.5 hours and not get through all the questions that I have, but we cannot wait for you to come to the Chicagoland area March 10th at Loud Pizza Records in Highland Park. Again, go ahead and pre-order those books so you can make sure to get in line to go ahead and meet Dee. Loud Pizza is at 716 Central in Highland Park. And thank you so much for your time today, and we'll see you in Chicagoland very, very soon.
All right, one now. I'll ask you a question. What's the weather like there?
I'll tell you this. It snowed on Saturday, and it was in the 70s on Sunday.
I heard there's a weird heat wave going through. Okay.
Today it's warm, and it's supposed to snow again on Tuesday.
All right.
So who knows?
Bring a bathing suit and a parka.
Bring a parka, a bathing suit. So you have like the shorts that rip away from the pant, something that you can change outfits. I have no idea what it's going to be like on March 10th.
It's all layers. Just it's layers, man. Okay, I got it. Layers. All right. Thank you.
Just bring everything. Just bring everything.
Just multiple suitcases. Bring the entire wardrobe. I got to be ready for everything. A great talking to you, man. Thanks very much for spreading the word. I appreciate it.
Of course. We'll see you in Chicago soon. Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.